Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Daily Drop-In, where the Teach Better team is live every single stinking morning, friends. Every morning at 7 a.m. Eastern. We're getting started here. Of course, it's Friday. It's November 5th. We're ready for an incredible Friday ahead of us. Brad Hughes is with us, so you know we got a good news story. Holidays are going to be great. And obviously, we're going to kind of wrap up our theme this week. Every single Friday, we get to wrap up our theme. Our theme this week is ending our class period strong, like those last 5 minutes. How do you use them with intentionality? How do you ensure that you are getting every last bit of what you need from your students before they head into their next learning opportunity? We are going to be right back. So please go fill up your coffee or tea, whatever you're drinking this morning, and let's get the show started. Good morning, friends. I hope that your morning is a little warmer than mine. I'm thinking freezing. Brad, how are you?
Yeah, temperatures here in southern Ontario are a little bit below freezing here too, Ray. I'm cozy in my sweater. I know you've got a cozy cover on today, and so we'll just we'll warm up the place with our sparkling conversation and our love and affection for our Teach Better family. How's that sound?
There we go. I love it. Yeah, for those of you who are tuning in live or watching us on camera, it's always fun to be able to see the clothing selections. Brad, you look how fabulous. Your collared shirt, you have a sweater. This is something I would wear like hiking with the dogs. I'm that cold. I do have a question, and this is an adulting question. For those of you that are here with us live, I need your opinions. My heat works on occasion and not during the times that I would prefer. So like today, my thermostat is set at 74 just to try and build that heat up. It's currently 62 in my home. So can you explain to me why it didn't work all night? Can you please tell me the secrets? I don't understand. What's the deal?
Ray, are you in a single detached home or
No. So I'm in an apartment and I'm at the very, very top, but the very, very top is only the second level. So I'm in an apartment, but tell me why my heat's not working. Could that affect it?
If your heat is controlled centrally by a superintendent or a property management company?
By me.
Oh, by you.
It's totally by me. I have a little button thing I get to click. Maybe it's actually controlled by somebody else, but they give me the buttons to make me feel like I have control. Maybe that's it. It's like a fake, what's that called?
Yeah.
It's like a dolly. It's totally fake, and it's just letting me to think that I can change the buttons.
Yeah, it's a placebo. Is that the one?
Placebo, there you go. But here's the thing, Brad. It was cold like last week, and I'm sure I complained about it on the show because, that's why we're here, for me to have my therapy session. And I put in a work order to the apartment facility, and I was like, hey, I'm totally fine, but at some point it'd be cool if I could get some consistency with my heat. And then by the time they came, the heat had totally caught back up. It was actually too warm in my apartment, and I felt foolish. I sent them away. I'm like, no, I think it's working, so no worries. Brianne is in the comments saying that my vents need to be cleaned out. Is that a thing? I could do that.
I'm just not sure. At our work, our heat and temperature are controlled by the central office, and so we have those buttons too, where you try to slide the thermostat up and down, and it's cold where you don't want it to be. It's hot where you don't need it to be, and eventually things kind of settle out. But if it doesn't settle out where you are, Ray, I'd get a crack team of investigators on the case and figure out what's going on with your heat.
Well, and Brad, I think the trick is like the more we know, the more we know, right? The better we can do. And I understand AC. Like if AC is not working, there's like a coolant factor that I'm like, okay, it's low. That makes sense. Is there like a heating equivalent of that? Why a heater wouldn't be working, but it works on occasion? I just think it has an opinion. It's kind of like, it's like a teenager. Like sometimes the heat wants to work and sometimes the heat doesn't, and that's just how it is. So
yeah, I can't even. I mean, I can't even heat today. That kind of a thing.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Brad, you totally understand my heater.
I sure do.
This is why I needed you to start
Oh,
us off on this beautiful Friday morning. So thank you to those of you who are tuning into the comments. It's really, really good to see all of you bright and early. Brad, how's your week been? I haven't talked to you most of the week, actually. It's been ages.
It's been a good week. A good week at school, good week at home. Fall colors are coming in. We have happy kids inside and outside our school building, and yeah, it's been a good week. I've been reflecting each and every day on how our school team made things just a little bit better for at least one person in the school. So that's been a journaling habit that I'm trying to stick with, and I've got 5 out of 5 days here, Ray, of reflecting on 1% better, and it's making a difference about how I wrap up my day. That's part of my last 5 minutes, as a matter of fact. How about your week? Tell me about it.
So my week's been great thus far. I can't complain. It's been busy, but busy's good.
Yeah.
I want to go back to that 1% better. That is something that I don't feel like enough people right now are giving themselves credit on. I just had a
Mhm.
conversation on I think it was Wednesday. It was a tough conversation, Brad,
Yeah.
with an educator that really was feeling tired. And I want to say tired versus burnout, just exhausted, right?
Mhm.
Mentally and physically exhausted. And I think that she was putting a lot of pressure on herself to be more than maybe what she needs to carry the weight of. What are your thoughts on that?
It's so understandable, Ray, and you often hear it said that education is among the most personal professions. We pour so much of our own heart, soul, and imagination and energy into what we do. We also have a lot of high expectations of ourselves as professionals. I think a lot of educators get into the education career with that heart-led approach, just wanting to work and work and work to make things better for kids and families. And so we've got internal expectations of high performance, and we also have high expectations from without. Some of the expectations, especially when we're continuing to teach in a pandemic, may seem unachievable. And so there's a lot of tension from within and without for a lot of educators, and I'm going to say a lot of healthcare professionals. Anyone who is in a public service sector right now is feeling that push and pull from within and without. So uh, self-compassion and honoring how you made things just a little bit better for someone, and also how you were even a little bit compassionate to yourself amid all of these stresses, is really something to be proud of at the end of any day.
No, I couldn't agree more. And the Teach Better mindset is striving to be a little bit better today than you were yesterday and a little bit better tomorrow than you were today. I want to acknowledge the fact that that can be 0.01%. That can also be 2% if you want to be an overachiever, right? That can be 50% on one of those days that you've just changed the world, right? But why do you choose that 1%? Because to me, my initial thought, and I'm sure to our viewers, I mean, they're commenting so far alongside us. 1% is like a really small percent, Brad. So why is your goal 1% and not 15% or 75%?
I think it's a measure of reassurance for myself, and I know, and I know almost all educators know that our 1% better is going to be much, much better than simply 1%. It's not really even a quantity raise. It's a mindset. Just like you said, it's a little bit better for someone. And then once you start to list the number of ways that you were a part of, or you observed things becoming just a little bit better for a number of people, whether they're students, staff members, community members, other stakeholders, people you pick up the phone and advise, like anyone, once you start listing those little ways that you were part of making things better for others, it's really inspiring. And when you're reflecting on it, it doesn't have to be a quantity. It doesn't have to be how a test score was raised, or how a reading record was improved, or the number of parent phone calls you made. It can just be the quality of those interactions and the quality of the improvement that you made. And yeah, 1% is just a mindset.
I love your mindset, and I love when you're able to take the conversation in the direction that I was hoping. So you are so spot on. But I agree. I mean, 1% to me is not an intimidating amount. And I
Mhm.
love that our focus on wanting to be better, our focus on being learners, on wanting to grow as people should not be intimidating. It should just be a lifestyle. We joke sometimes that teaching is more than a career, it's a lifestyle. And I think the same is true for being a learner. And so we don't want your goals, your learning goals, to be stressors. We want them to simply be the way in which you choose to live and the way in which you choose to view the situations before you. So I so appreciate that, Brad. What a great reminder to start out our Friday mornings together. Can you believe it's already November 5th? Holy moly.
It's incredible. We've turned the calendar page on November. We have Halloween and all of the excitement in our rearview mirror. Our educators are just finishing up their progress reports, their first report cards to families about student progress and sort of beginning areas of achievement. It's a busy time for educators right now in terms of developing and sharing individual education plans and alternative education plans. So, I wonder how many educators listening are thinking, wow, I mean, I am so looking forward to the weekend for an opportunity to catch up on all of the work that I need to catch up on. It's that time of year, Rae. How is that feeling for you and the people that you're in contact with?
Well, no, I'm seeing the same thing, Brad. I think you're spot on. November, and I want to say this like during non-COVID time. So I think there's little minor tweaks this year specifically, but it's parent-teacher conferences, it's end of the grading periods for so many different schools. That kind of happens within like these 4 weeks, right? Halfway through October, kind of the beginning of November.
Yep.
This is usually the time where there's some like big conferences going on. So there might be some educators that are maybe going to physical conferences or experiencing some virtual conferences right now. This is kind of that big push to get to, obviously, American Thanksgiving is at the end of the month. And then obviously we have the winter holidays that are coming. But I really think that this time of year is an opportunity for us to celebrate that we got through October. Typically, October is a little bit of a challenging month. And I say little bit with like air quotes, like a little bit. It's always a challenging month. But November, I think, is kind of where we can build some speed again. There's some excitement for the seasons changing. There's some excitement for some of the paperwork coming to an end and hopefully getting some time to feel like we've made it to the midpoint of the year and we can do some good things for kiddos. And I also think, Brad, I know this is kind of silly, but there's some fun activities that kind of come with some winter holidays that I think some educators are going to be excited about. I'm excited to dive into those within the next few weeks.
It's really wonderful if you live in an area of the world where snow may be starting to fall. Everyone has feelings about snow, but most kids experience it with great joy. And so if you can just go and find the smiles and go and find the joy as the snowflakes begin to fall, or as kids are getting toasty as they return to school after a cold recess break outside, or whatever you can do we talked about at the beginning. You're cold, I'm cold. We got to warm things up with our approach and warm things up with the relationships that we cultivate, and that is really an important part of the holiday season coming up as well.
Have you had any snow, Brad? I'm looking at my winter app, or I'm sorry, not my winter app, my weather app.
Yep.
And on my weather app, it's definitely cold enough right now that if we had the precipitation, it would snow. But then it says like later this week, like Thursday, Friday near me, it's going to rain. It's not quite cold enough to snow. So have you had any snow yet?
We have, and it hasn't stuck around. It was frosting on the lawns and the sidewalks yesterday morning. It disappeared quickly, but yeah, it is cold enough to snow. And then at some point we'll reach a temperature where the ground is cold enough to have the snow stick around.
Yeah, no, we've definitely had like the frost in the morning, like on the cars and on the grass. I walked my dogs this morning and they were like, what's going on? This is not what it's supposed to look like. But no snow yet. I do love kind of that moment of the first snow when you can see the snowfall. So we're not quite there yet where I am, but I'm excited for it. I will say, Brad, we did like a daily drop-in theme. I don't even know how recent this was because it seems like a blur. But we were talking about utilizing during a segment like our 5 senses in learning. And one of the things I love during this time of year is intentionally setting the tone when students walk into the room with music and energy, but specifically when it gets cold, you put like the 12-hour long YouTube video of the fireplace on the smartboard and you turn all the lights off and you just hear the crinkling of the fire. And so students walk into kind of this calm feeling because you just can almost feel the warmth from the video if that's possible. But I do love a great fireplace during this time of year.
I'm excited and just really it warms my heart literally to walk into classrooms like that. A colleague who was a remote learning teacher
Mm,
last year, he had a fireplace on one of his monitors that his students couldn't see, but
mm,
it helped to create that sense of welcome for him in an empty classroom.
mm,
And walking, I mean, and you could see that in his tone and his approach with the kids on the other end of the monitor. So
mm,
sound design is something that I'm really passionate about, and experimenting with how to use sound in our classroom spaces and in our hallways, and create that welcoming feel. And the
mm,
welcoming feel is also promoted by the people within that building, and a culture where people say hello and people are looking out for you and people are checking in with you how you're doing.
mm,
People aren't walking past each other with blinders on. People are taking time to you know not let anyone pass by unacknowledged. And
mm.
if you've got a monitor with a fireplace on that, so much the better. Part of that to me is also about sort of the gift of surprise. It might surprise kids walking in to hear that music and to see that fireplace, or to see some sparkly lights that a teacher has established. But making the space belong to and be meaningful to everyone walking in is one of my passions too.
Oh, what a fun opportunity here that we've created, Brad. Starting the morning off with some feel good, some warmth. I love it. We have a ton of friends in the comments this morning. Sandra, good to see you. Brian, good to see you. Jeff Gargis even tuned in. And then we have a
Hmm.
few friends even commenting from our incredible private Facebook group. I know I can't see your names right now, but I do want to wish you a beautiful, a warm good morning. Brad, we have some holidays today we need to celebrate. We have some articles. We have some educational discussion that we're trying to get into. So, should we head into our holidays for this morning?
I can't wait. Let's catch each other back on the flip side.
All right, catch you on the flip side, friends. All right, Brad, I know we always discuss on Daily Drop-In on Friday mornings because I'm so excited for your article. If we should start with the article first or the holidays. And you always told me, I think we're in like week 12 or 13, you always pick holidays. So I'm making the decision right now. We're starting with holidays this morning. Are you ready?
I am ready. Let's get going.
All right, perfect. So we have a ton of holidays going on. I do want to celebrate that while it's not on the list. We did talk about Diwali being a holiday that was celebrated yesterday. Remember, this is a 5-day holiday. So you're going to see this holiday continue to be celebrated. I just want to note, I know this is probably off topic, Brad, but I was so thrilled to see so many people celebrating Diwali yesterday. My social
Hmm.
media, I don't know that it has ever been like this, but it was inundated with people acknowledging this beautiful holiday of really the celebration of light, which I just love candles. I love this opportunity to celebrate a different culture. And I was so thrilled to see so many people, whether they identify with that culture or just simply want to acknowledge it because they have friends and family in their circles that celebrate that culture, celebrating that. So please know that that continues to be something that many, many people are going to be celebrating, and obviously something that we can all choose to learn about. In addition to that, there are some kind of funny holidays going on today. It is National Redhead Day, so shout out to those redheads out there that are celebrating National Redhead Day. It's also bonfire night. I feel like this goes with our theme, maybe challenging everybody to go do a little bonfire later today. Brad, I found this one interesting, and I feel like this is a holiday you should choose to celebrate. Have
Okay.
you ever written with like a fancy fountain pen? Have you ever written with one of those?
Yes, I have. I've never written with a quill pen. With when you were making that gesture, and it reminded me of writing with a big, the feather with the flourish on the end. But no, I have written in fountain pen as a left-handed person.
Mhm.
Writing with a fountain pen is challenging because you've got great writing in front of the pen, and then you've got a smear of the hand over that. So, Ray, if you and I can develop a fast drawing fountain pen for left-handers, then so much better.
I think that has to be an invention. I'm shocked that that doesn't exist. That must exist. Somebody go search on Amazon. But I will say today is World Fountain Pen Day. So if you have
Oh,
ever written with a fountain pen, or maybe you all have one, this would be the day to discuss it. That is definitely has a challenge in and of itself. It's also National Jersey Friday. along with American Football Day. So for those of you who are fans of American football, I know the Colts and Jets played yesterday. Spoiler alert, the Colts won by a landslide. It was incredible. But I will say the Colts only started winning yesterday when I chose to vote and like root for the Jets. So I'm just saying that I might be the good luck charm for the other team, just so that's out there.
I just want our listeners and viewers to remember that before they invite Rae over, for a tailgate party.
Yeah, definitely. Like, if you want me to be a part of your celebration, have me choose the other team because I'm really, really good at identifying the losers of the game. It's true. Brad, I know that you are a hockey fan, but are you a fan of American football? Do you have a lot of different sports you watch, or just a few?
I do. I watch American football. I watch British football, hockey. The Olympics I'm passionate about, especially the Winter Olympics. Our family follows figure skating very closely. And my wife and I have become recent fans of Formula One racing. And so we're looking forward to another race weekend in front of the TV this coming weekend. So it's been, we'll watch a lot. How about you? Other than football, are there other ones that you're passionate about?
So as many of you know, I'm a huge soccer fan. I love a good soccer game. But I want to ask Brad, I was looking at this. Our Winter Olympics are happening again like this February. Like, even though we feel like we just finished those wonderful summer games that were happening, late July, early August, and obviously through August. It seems so quick, but because of the year delay, we're now in the season where the Winter Olympics are underway. So if you guys have not been catching the beginning components of that, I'm pretty sure those kick off like late January, early February. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah, it's crazy. It'll be very fun. So yeah, I appreciate a good game. I don't know a lot about sports, but I do appreciate a good game. So always fun. Brad, what kind of good news story do you have for us this morning?
Well, it's a story of lost and found, Rae, and I'm wondering if you've lost track of anything recently and you've kind of had to go out on a hunt for them, maybe like kind of a detective, do some detective work.
I lose things constantly. I'm almost a professional at it, to be honest.
Have you lost your walrus recently, Rae?
I do have a lot of things in my life. I have 2 beautiful dogs. I have many clothing items I can lose. I cannot say that I've lost a walrus. No.
Well, this news article from goodnet.org lets us know that being a detective doesn't mean that you have to be Sherlock Holmes or sneak around in dark alleys with a camera. It can be as simple as scouring satellite photos, looking for elusive walruses as part of a worldwide census. How cool would this be to involve your classroom students in this project being conducted by the British Antarctic Survey and the World Wildlife Fund? They hope that 500,000 people worldwide will join this walrus detective search. They've partnered with a space tech company to provide high-res satellite photos for the project. That's going to take 4 years to complete, covering 25,000 kilometers of coastline that need to be studied for this walrus census, Rae.
Wow. It's really interesting that you chose this article because the article that I wanted to report on literally all week and I didn't have time to do it had to do with sea lions. So I feel like there's a theme here of some incredible animals that exist on our coastlines.
One thing that excites me about this article is the potential for teachers and kids to get involved and to see the connection between technology and public service that serves the greater good, Rae. They have a report here of 9-year-old Cub Scouts who are participating in the search as a project for their pack. Signing up is easy. There's a link in the story that I'll share in our Facebook stream, in our comment stream. It's easy to sign up, and you can get involved, and you can become a walrus detective on behalf of the World Wildlife Fund. I can see the T-shirts, I can see the detective hats and the buttons that teachers might create. Join the great walrus hunt, asks the WWE.
I love this. And Brett, there's so many different schools that are in classrooms that have brain break opportunities or genius hour opportunities. What a wonderful opportunity that we have to now choose to help out a group that is truly striving to set some goals and make an impact. That's really interesting.
I know we're familiar with Where's Waldo, and I know that we have authors and illustrators in our Teach Better family. So I'd just like to propose, and you heard it here first, a new book series called Where's Walrus. And before you take me to task on that, I think it's a really good idea. So just hit me up if you want to explore that further.
Brad, do you have to warm up these puns or they just come naturally?
They need no warming up. They are primed and ready on all cylinders. They are ready to fire at any time, Rae.
I love this, Brad. This is why I love our Fridays. It's always so fun to celebrate our crazy, crazy days with all of you. I hope that you all go take the challenge of hunting for walruses. Why not? I mean, if you didn't have that already on your to-do list on this beautiful Friday, add it now because it's an essential choice for all of us to participate in. We are going to transition here into our topic, our theme this week with our brainstorm break. So, Brad, are you ready to move away from walruses and into maybe something related to our classroom work?
That proposal just seals the deal for me, Rae. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, guys, how does he do it? How does he do it? Okay, as the comments eat this up, we'll be right back. All right, friends, the shenanigans have started, and we are live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch for our daily drop-in. If you're listening after the fact on our podcast of Teach Better Talk podcast, we're also thrilled to have you here. Don't forget, Brad, you are doing a great job sharing those articles every Friday, specifically in our Facebook stream. I want to celebrate the fact that whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, we really would love to have you going over and liking, subscribing, and tuning into anything related to the Teach Better team. If you could take 3 seconds and go like us over on Facebook, or 4 seconds and go follow us on our YouTube channel, or subscribe to Teach Better Talk podcast, we'd love to have you do that. That is such a beautiful opportunity that social media has provided us to reach more viewers. Every single like, every single subscribe, every single rate and review does allow us to reach just a few more people. And as we continue to carry this growth mindset for ourselves as learners, we always want to continue to have our mindset to grow our network as well. So thank you to those of you who choose to share this stream and participate in helping us to reach more educators, because that's what it's all about. Brad, on this chilly Friday morning, as we're getting started for the day, there are a lot of opportunities that we have to check in with our network, and one of which is our brainstorm bank, where we're able to simply pause and ask our family, hey, friends, do you need anything? So, Brad, really quick, as we get into our theme, do you need anything, friend? Anything we can help you with?
No, actually, nothing that you can help me with, Rae. This opportunity to do the Friday drop-in with you weekly is really, really energizing. It fills my bucket, and it helps me get into my workday with a lot of excitement, knowing that you and I have connected personally and connected with so many friends online. So anything that you need, can I support your work in any way, Rae?
Honestly, Brad, I need your help wrapping up this week, because we had a full week of discussion around a topic that I think is really hard to recap, but it's a relatively narrow concept, a relatively narrow idea. This whole week, we've been focusing on 5 minutes. Can you believe that we've spent an entire week focusing on the last 5 minutes of our classroom? This is time that as an educator, you might occasionally choose to throw away. And as an educator, you might try and fit in seemingly way too much in this period of time. And this whole week has been focused on trying to get some consistency and some intentionality in that time. Have you been able to reflect on those 5 minutes throughout this week?
I have, and the tension that you describe is real, because studies out of the National Institutes of Health really recognize the power not only of emotion, but what happens to us in the last 5 minutes or the last minutes of any interaction in order of sort of locking that experience into memory. So we hope that in the course of any lesson or lesson plan, there are highs of delight, and there is a moment of positive anticipation and a moment of bringing things together at the end that will lock that experience into memory. So I picture middle schoolers leaving your classroom and going on to a next classroom, but you're actually setting up the next teacher for success when you end on that positive note. But there's also that tension too, because depending on how your class has gone, those last 5 minutes can't come soon enough. And maybe for some of your students, it's the same thing. I think of staff meetings too, and our staff meetings, Rae, are a prescribed start and end time. And so, I think we've all been in meetings in any walk of life where people are watching the clock and it's like, is this meeting over yet? And so, yeah, there's a lot of tension about to make those minutes meaningful. but it's also important to make the minutes leading up to them meaningful as well. So people are not leaving drained. People are leaving, that was worthwhile.
No, I really appreciate, Brad, your connection to the last 5 minutes of a classroom and the last 5 minutes of really any interaction. I think that really opens up a whole different approach to this dialogue, a whole different conversation that I don't know that I made that connection this week. So I really value that. So much of my time this week has been reflecting on when we lesson plan as educators. When we lesson plan, I know so many educators that feel very strongly about starting the class hour very, very intentionally and having very strategic things they want to do throughout their time together with the students. But I don't know that in a lesson plan like format, which I've looked at so many, having so many student teachers in the past of what the colleges are pushing out as like the best lesson plans to use. I don't know that there is a section that says, how are you going to wrap it all up at the end of the day? I think a lot of it focuses on how are you going to start? What are the targets and standards you're working towards? And what are the activities what are the learning opportunities that students are going to experience? I don't know that I've seen one that has a section that says, and how do you transition in and out of this topic? That's not something that's acknowledged. And that's really been my mindset all week. And yet your reflection here is connecting it to simply the last 5 minutes of a live stream, the last 5 minutes of a staff meeting, the last 5 minutes of spending time with friends. You're right. Those last 5 minutes are incredibly important in those instances. I have not thought of it that way.
I want to come back. Thanks, Rae. And I want to come back sort of the tension where a teacher may be gathering information about the learning at the end of a period through an exit ticket or an exit survey. Depending on how the minutes up to that have gone, students or staff members may be providing that information on the fly in a hurry. And so it may not be, the last 5 minutes actually may not be the most effective time to seek that information. It could be the 5 minutes before the 5 minutes. Another thing that we can do in the last 5 minutes, if we have the opportunity I'm thinking for staff meetings and faculty, is to end early. That's a wonderful gift of surprise as long as you've covered what you need to cover and people are leaving feeling energized and informed. Ending before the last 5 minutes, and so you're not, dragging things out to the bitter end unnecessarily, I think is a gift of respect and surprise. So that's another way to spend the last 5 minutes.
This week, Brad, we've been focusing a lot about what those last 5 minutes look like. I think your acknowledgement that the last 5 minutes before the last 5 minutes are maybe the most strategic time that we can be focusing on, because you're right, the actual last 5 minutes might be time that we choose to provide grace and a sense of a break to the people that we are with. I love the concept of a staff meeting ending 5 minutes early. I mean, how many of us have sat in staff meetings saying, okay, I'm glad to be here. This is valuable information. I'll buy into the concept, but after this meeting, I have something going on that is adding stress. And if you can give me the gift of time, even 5 minutes to go and prepare to easily transition to my next activity, to my next responsibility, that is powerful. That's powerful.
Part of the power, Rae, lies in a good preparation for your lesson or for your meeting. In terms of staff meetings, and maybe in terms of classrooms, when we take a look at flipping some of the content, if we can provide students or faculty members with information items ahead of time that don't have to be read out loud or read off a slide deck to students or faculty members, it makes the time leading up to those last 5 minutes more purposeful. So people are actively engaged in communication, in problem solving, in relationship building. I think too of Rotary teachers who are coming into and leaving classes, or maybe in a middle school or high school setting, kids are on the move every 75, 80 minutes. The last 5 minutes, especially if they are, if a teacher is returning to the classroom, the last 5 minutes could actually be spent in regulating and in making sure that the teacher returning to the classroom is not, the kids' energy is not so high up that the teacher coming in has to spend the first 5 or 10 minutes of his or her time just kind of dialing things down. It can be, an opportunity to build community and team and positive anticipation of that return to or that departure to another classroom.
Yeah, that reset can be incredibly important. And that I'm shocked that hasn't come up this week, because the opportunity that we have to reset our space and kind of close a chapter together as we enter into a new chapter has not been brought up this week. And I'd love to have you speak to that a little bit. What's the value of making sure that our last 5 minutes isn't fitting in maybe the things that we missed and hadn't gotten to yet, but choosing instead to kind of resetting our students' mindsets, resetting our physical space, and getting prepared for the next time that we are going to move into?
Well, thanks, Ray. As we opened our conversation, we were talking about the impact of emotion on memory. And when our brains and bodies are in a high state of emotion or tension, it's unlikely that we are incorporating the information sort of on a deep level, because we're seeking ourselves, and we're seeking as educators on behalf of the kids to bring things back into balance. It also reminds me of the power of routines and positive expectations. And so maybe in your classroom, you have a visual schedule of what's happening first, then next, and finally. Or maybe you are a highly routine oriented educator, and kids know what to expect. And we talked about, soundscapes and classroom environments. So they come in, the fireplace is on, the music is playing, the music turns down. That leads to some positive anticipation. The teacher moves to maybe an anchor spot in the classroom, signaling without speaking that the class is about to begin, or giving a keyword where kids learn to move into their different groups. But the power of routines, and as a school leader, when I'm looking at classroom observations, I'm paying close attention to how those routines and transitions happen. And then at the end of an observation, for example, I'll give feedback to an educator about how the transitions were safe, how the transitions indicated the students were listening to you, but also listening to and looking out for each other. So routine, transitions, positive anticipation, making not only your words, but your actions count, and keeping the energy level like a positive hum with some sustained moments of excitement or surprise. But absolutely.
Brad, this is bringing up a really interesting memory. I had a conversation right before I got on the plane to go to Ohio, which, when was that? 2 weeks ago. It was It was like the weekend of October 23rd, because we were hiding from all of you that we were going to Ohio because we were announcing the conference details like that following Wednesday. And I got a phone call from actually an ambassador, a Teach Better ambassador, somebody that I've known for quite some time. I've loved watching her grow and develop as an educator, because holy cow, I think I've known her for maybe close to 6 years at this point. But I met her when she was in college and studying to be a teacher. And now she's just a killer educator, right, out in the field. And she called me very frustrated, which I always love those phone calls when I get to kind of hear the educators in our network kind of vent for a period of time. And because venting is so natural, right, Brad? I mean, the opportunity that we have to share kind of like some frustrated emotion, but the trick is then shifting that to saying, okay, so what's the solution? Like, I got my emotional frustration out. How can I be a problem solver now? And that's exactly what this conversation was. I was very, very, very pleased with it. But the focus was that at the end of her class hour, she was having students goal set and reflect, which has actually come up numerous times this week as an opportunity to kind of end class. And I was sharing with her, or she was sharing with me, that the time that she provides students to do that with is 3 minutes. And students have 3 minutes to goal set and reflect. And what she was sharing with me, that this was it was becoming a very stressful time, and more so stressful that students were actually sneaking behind her back, quote unquote, to do the goal setting reflection before those 3 minutes came about. That they were actually goal setting reflecting beforehand. And when she would announce that the 3 minutes were here and it was time to goal set and reflect, she was finding it so frustrating that students were she was interpreting it as them not following her direction because they were choosing to do it early, because they found those 3 minutes to be not enough time and it was stressful for them. Anywho, I was sharing with her that I allot for 7 minutes to goal set and reflect. And her response was that she was worried that it would be wasting time, that she was like, what a waste of time. It doesn't take them
Yeah.
that long to goal set and reflect. What are they doing for the time? If it takes them, let's say 3 minutes, what are they doing for those extra minutes that they are not goal setting and reflecting? And I was thinking on this idea of wasted time. I think you've hit the nail on the head, Brad, that I allow for 7 minutes, knowing that it only takes 3 to 4 minutes to do a task. The leftover time then exists for that reset, for the packing up, for the standing behind your seat, for the mental moment, that choice of saying, what am I heading into next? And can I prepare my resources to be more effective when I walk into the next classroom, or anything in between? I'd love to have you share any thoughts you have on that. I think it really does relate to the time that we're talking to now.
I'd love to. And I think 3 things are coming to mind for me as I hear you relate that discussion with your colleague. And first is I'm excited and grateful that your colleague was recognizing and naming the tension that was experiencing at the end of the class, because if our colleague is seeking to get reflection and goal setting, that reflection and goal setting is not going to happen effectively when the class community is experiencing such high tension. In fact, what the behavior of the students was showing, and I'm glad that you were able to shift the conversation or help the educator shift from the what was happening to the why it was happening. So my conclusion is that was happening because kids were seeking to head off the stress and tension of those last 3 minutes, knowing that either that the teacher was going to be expecting some goal setting and reflection, and they wanted to make sure it was happening because the teacher asked. Go ahead.
They were still doing what she wanted, which I wanted her to like see. I don't think she saw that, where I was like, but they're still doing it, which means they too see the value in it. They're just not on the same timeline. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's all good. The other thing that came to mind for me too, Rae, when we think about 3 minutes or 7 minutes, actually a couple things come to mind. One is there may be students in that class for whom those 7 minutes are a rich opportunity to think deeply or reflect, or there may be students who need that additional time and maybe the support of some conversation with a classmate or the teacher in order to actually work through that reflection and goal setting. And so by providing some additional time, you're providing accommodations, you're providing what's essential for some, but good for everybody. And the last thing I wonder too, as we reflect on this week of the last 5 minutes, is earlier in the conversation, we were talking about quantity over quality. We were talking about the 1% better. And we discussed it. It's not really 1%, it's just a mindset. And so, maybe it's not about the last 5 minutes, because that puts our focus on tick, 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 300 seconds. What are we going to do with those 300 seconds? Instead, we could maybe say the last few minutes or the last few moments, because depending on the needs of the class, depending on your needs as an educator, you might need more than 300 seconds. And I think our conversation today is saying, you want to back that up and maybe think about the 5 minutes before the 5 minutes, or at the very least, give yourself and your students permission to breathe. It's not about the last 5 minutes, maybe after all, it's about the last few minutes of making the class memorable, meaningful, emotionally safe, and helping your class leave with positive anticipation of the next opportunity to meet.
Oh, Brad, I think this has been such a valuable discussion, because if nothing else, I hope that all of you acknowledge that as we continue to focus on those last few minutes of our classroom, allowing students some grace, allowing them time to reset, allowing them time to simply choose to be organized. We know so many students at the end of the class hour are shoving things into their book bag and racing off to the next location. And that's not wasted time. It's intentional time. And it might be away from content, but it's not away from that human nature, right? We are teaching little humans, regardless of how little they are. We're teaching children, we're teaching students a lot more than just the content that we have the responsibility, the standards we have the responsibility for. And there are some wonderful ways that we can use those last 5 minutes. So I appreciate this, Brad. This has been a wonderful discussion. I'd love to be able to transition into a kind of recapping a few different things this week, if you're open to it.
Looking forward to it.
All right, let's get into that recap. Brad, it happened again. I forget how much I love that little tune. It's such a good one.
I'm thinking a live rendition of that by whatever session group put that together, I think would be an awesome thing. We'll just pop them in a third window here, Rae, here on StreamYard, and get them to do that for us.
Can we get like a Teach Better band? Like, I just feel like we have so many skilled Teach Better family members. We could get some like really good musical talent, I think, to be live on our show. I also want an in-studio audience. Can we make that happen?
I think that would be the price of the Price is Right just flashed in my mind as you said that. I think that would be awesome. We could have our guests come on down to join us, and I think that Teach Better 22, Rae, might be a fantastic opportunity to invite our Teach Better family that are able to bring along musical instruments to do that, and maybe for some of the networking events in the evening, maybe there could be like a Teach Better jam, just a way to come together, and I think that's an amazing idea.
This is the best idea of all time. I'm so excited. Joshua Stamper already ruined that we're going to have a podcast row. I just feel like a podcast row, a musical corner. We could fill this whole thing up. I like this.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what surprises are in store.
I will say, I have some insider scoop, Brad, on how the speakers are being selected for the Teach Better Conference 2022. As many of you know, if you've not visited, by the way, go to teachbetterconference.com. You can see so many details that's been publicly released. But I will tell you that we have like proposals opening to the public March 1st. So we hope that all of you choose to submit proposals. But in addition to opening it up to the Teach Better family and hoping to collect lots of speakers, I think we'll probably have over 70 speakers at this conference. Wow. And I'm making that number up, but I really do think that it will be more than that. We also have prepared some surprises of some friends, some familiar faces, some exciting educators that will be joining the conference that we've already booked and are kind of like holding those secrets back. We'll be releasing our keynotes and the initial lineup of speakers kind of early spring next year. And I'm very excited for those to be released because some of them I know play musical instruments, and maybe they should be like the directors of our Teach Better band. I'm just saying.
I think that the possibilities are limitlessly endless for the talent to rise, the cream to rise to the top, and for people with those specialized skills to really just bring people together. I think it's a great suggestion.
So fun. For those of you who are not registered, don't forget that early bird registration is open for the conference. We'd love to have you take advantage of it. Friends, I really believe in never paying full price for anything. And trust me, this is the time to register. I know so many of us are thinking like, oh, it's not till next October. I might need to get it approved by my district. Yes, you should do that, but go pay for it now so that you get that $100 off. That's a lot of money. We want you to save that money. Spend the $100 on, maybe buying books at the conference or buying swag at the conference, or maybe treating yourself to an adult beverage at the networking events. Save your $100. We want you to have that money, keep that money. Definitely go do the early bird registration over at teachbetterconference.com. That is open right now for all of you. To recap this week, there's been a lot of great discussion, Brad. Obviously, Jeff and I were able to kick it off on Monday. On Tuesday, we had Mickey Hernandez join us that had an incredible conversation with Jeff Gargis about children's books, which Jeff just said was one of his favorite conversations he's had on Daily Drop-In thus far. Wednesday, we had Damien join us. Damien was a principal in the south side of Chicago, and he just had so much to share. He also had a really cool accent because he's from Ireland, so that was kind of fun. And then obviously on Thursday, we had Jennifer join us, and Jennifer is from, I believe, Pennsylvania area, I want to say.
Yeah, Philadelphia area. That's
Philadelphia area, there we go. And she just had such a passion for involving stakeholders in our schools. So there's been a lot of discussion around ensuring that those last few minutes of the classroom included formative assessment, included moments of reflection, collecting any final pieces of data that you needed to. And then obviously, Brad, I think our discussion has added that final layer to say, yes, collect information, but also ensure that you are really seeing students as the people that they are and making sure that we give them some intentional time as well at those last 5 minutes. So some really good discussion this week.
You really put a fantastic bow on our discussion there. That's what it's all about. It's the people in our spaces that make the spaces what they are. And there's the old saying, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And there's always opportunities to use those last few minutes of class just to express appreciation and wonder for the incredible young people that are coming into your space. I think there's never a wrong opportunity to let young people know how they impact your life, because frequently they come to school thinking, how are the teachers going to serve and support me? We know as educators, we are tremendously influenced and impacted by the presence of young people in our lives. We continue to grow. It keeps us young. It keeps us thinking. It keeps us creative. So for heaven's sake, if you want to take those last few minutes and just express appreciation back to your students for the influence and the impact they have and how much you're looking forward to seeing them next time, that I think that maybe just no better way to spend those last few moments than to express appreciation and let them know how much you're looking forward to seeing them again soon.
What a valuable takeaway and challenge to consider this weekend. I love that, Brad. Great point there. As far as next week, friends, we hope you enjoy obviously taking on these challenges this weekend. You're going to enter into the best Friday that you've had yet later today. And we're so excited to kick off your morning or be a part of any moments of your day that you allow us to be. I will celebrate that next week is a very, very, very special week for the Teach Better family. There's going to be a lot of emotion shared next week on the Daily Drop-In because we are taking a full week and we are going to be remembering 2019, Teach Better 2019. We have some wonderful guests joining us that were able to attend or be a part of in some way the conference that we were able to host back in 2019, where we were able to bring over 300 members of our Teach Better family together for an incredible weekend. We are excited to celebrate that as our theme all week long, kind of remembering those takeaways, acknowledging some of the incredible keynotes and sessions that were shared, and discussing the power of family. So celebrating a lot of familiar faces coming on the show next week. And then obviously, Brad, you and I will be recapping that discussion. And I assume sharing our excitement for Teach Better 2022 with our family next week. And just to add some context, next week is the anniversary of the time that we had the conference. So we're going to spend all week celebrating that incredible opportunity together. And please remember, even if you were not a part of 2019, there are some incredible stories that you'll enjoy hearing, I promise you, and also just some fun details that we'll be releasing about our 2022 event. So join us next week for sure. It'll be a really good time. Brad, as we kind of conclude our Friday together, I'd love to share some excitement for all of you that are entering into a Friday. It's going to be a good one. Do you have any plans for the weekend, Brad?
Ray, I think I'll just be scouring satellite photos for these lost walruses. I think that the Walrus Census is going to be my complete focus for the weekend. But looking forward to a great day at school. In the meantime, I've got a number of meetings and conversations planned, and we're moving forward with a number of things for students in unique educational situations and developing individualized programming. And I'm just reflecting on, a week of, striving to make things just a little bit better each day for the people that I serve. What's on your plate for the weekend?
My weekend is going to be quiet, which is what I need. I think I'm going to take the dogs on a little hike. I've noted many times I have this beautiful forest preserve that's right near my house, so I'm sure we'll end up there at some point. And then I actually have my family, my parents, specifically, my parents are coming into town, and we're going to cook dinner together on Saturday. So for those of you who don't necessarily have weekend plans, feel free to cook with family and let us know your recipes and what you cook this weekend. I have no idea what we're making, so I can't wait to find out.
That's part of the surprise. You never know what's going to happen when you bring family together. Conversation, fun, talking about memories. I mean, those are key opportunities to reflect on the awesome things that your family's been able to accomplish and the setbacks and the funny things that you never expected. It sounds like an awesome time.
So true. And, my father is an incredible chef. I mean, out of this world incredible. And he's recently committed some serious energy to wanting me to learn all the great recipes that he has in his back pocket. So I'm very excited to maybe learn a new one this this weekend as, my mother sits around and just like critiques the work we're doing. So I very much will be the sous chef, just for anybody worried. I will not be taking lead on this one with my kitchen skills, but it should be a good time. So feel free to follow the Teach Better team on all social media platforms. And if you want to connect with our cooking update, I'll be posting on social media, so it'll be a good time. But Brad, I hope you have an incredible Friday. I hope you have an outstanding weekend. And I'm excited to see you back here next week to continue our daily drop-in fun.
I appreciate you so much, Rae, and I appreciate this opportunity to come together with you and to share some goodness and some good news with everybody in the Teach Better family. So, the last few minutes of our episode every Friday is always really meaningful and special for me. And I hope you go forward into the weekend and cook up something awesome with your family. And I'm already looking forward to reconnecting with you next week.
So fun. For everyone else here, thank you for joining us, whether you're tuning in live as we stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, or if you're watching this after the fact. We appreciate you. We see you. We hope that you spend some intentional time relaxing, resetting, and getting everything you need to be the best that you possibly can be, just a little bit better every single day. And we also hope that you enjoy your last few sips of coffee as you head into the best Friday, the best November 5th that you've ever had. So we can't wait to hear about it. Feel free to tweet at us or share with us how your Friday goes. Brad and I would love to hear from you. And we'll see you later, friends. Bye, guys.
See you soon.